author in your own right. I have like 108 videos on YouTube. Am I the most popular person on YouTube? In my opinion, yes, I am. But right now, let's get back to the conversation. What's the conversation? The conversation is the prison system in this country, blacks, prisons, and money. And now, less than 200 years ago, it was blacks, slavery, and money. But that seems to be the algorithm that works in this country. If you want to make some money, all you need is a slave. How about that? All you need is a slave, and you can make all the money you can get your little hands on. That's a wonderful thing, isn't it? So, anyway, let me see if I can find something nice for you. Oh, I got one. Uh, this one comes up all the time. Me and driving, because I don't drive. I used to know how to drive, but I haven't been behind the wheel of a car and forever, and for obvious reasons. If you knew me, I'll tell you about that one day too. But right now, listen to this one. It's called Me and Driving. Now, why is it whenever you and I talk, it always comes back to why I don't drive? Why I don't have a car? When am I going to get my license? It's gotten so whenever I know I'm going to see you, I have to brace myself, tell myself, just change the subject. There was a time when I thought, I better get my license. I need a car. I saw my friends and families getting their licenses and buying cars. I saw them with their new license plates and stickers. I watched them grab their keys and head out the door, start their engines, and drive off into the distance. Free, independent. They didn't have to answer to anyone. And time progressed as time does, and I watched them buy their second car and more license plates and stickers and paying for parking and car washes and gas and insurance and tolls and cigarettes and beer and music and speakers and rims and engines and brake pads and carburetors and on and on and on. I saw the frustration in your faces when anyone cut you off on the expressway, when the green light turned red before you made it through the intersection, the ticket you got in the mail because the traffic camera said you made an illegal turn, how absolutely irate you became when you had to pay that speeding ticket. I saw you when you found out a dear friend was hit by a car because the driver was drunk, and how you took the keys from a friend because you just weren't going to be responsible for someone else's death. Every time you and I get together, you always want to know, when am I going to be a licensed driver? And I think, as long as I have two working feet, a bus pass, and friends who don't mind sharing a ride for some gas money, girl, never, if I can help it. Yeah, that's pretty much how I still feel about it. As long as I can find somebody to take me where I need to go, or, y'all don't mind sharing some gas money, I will not drive. I will not drive. People on the road are crazy. I won't drive. I'm a passenger, and that's scary enough. Uh, back to the prison systems. I have a nephew right now who is serving a life sentence for armed robbery. And he got into prison under the three-time loser law, right? The first two times he was picked up, they were supposedly felonies because Bill Clinton had made it back, was it 1996, right? The three-time loser law. You get picked up for three felonies, then you are going to go to jail for the rest of your life. And that was how they filled all of those empty cells when they privatized the prison system back then. Our children became super predators. The war on drugs was was the biggest thing going, you know. And the only way you can get a war on drugs is by putting drugs on the street. And how you gonna put drugs on the street? You have to, employ illegally young youth who have no money and no way of getting a job, and the education system has failed them. And so you give them money, drugs, and a gun, and you tell them, hey, you go out there and you sell this and don't let nobody take it from you and not give you a cut of it. That's how it happened, and that's how it still happens. Um, so my nephew wound up in prison. Um, After serving time as a youth in the juvenile detention center, he was indoctrinated into just being doing stupid stuff. What was it a felony? Yeah. You rob somebody at gunpoint. That's definitely a felony. Should you go to jail for the rest of your life for it? And let's face it, he's going to be in jail for another 15 or 20 more years, and he's already been in there 15 to 20 years. By the time he comes out, he won't understand how this world works, and he won't have any way of adapting to society. He was put in prison before cell phones, before he could have a cell phone anyway. People had cell phones, but they weren't as popular. Everybody and their mama's grandmama and great grandmama got a cell phone. But when he went to prison, cell phones didn't even exist. Not for us. Maybe cable TV, but that's it. And then I have another nephew who's also doing a life sentence. And it was his first time going to jail. First time ever being arrested, you see. So, in the whole context of it all, the movie 13th, produced and directed by Ava DuVernay, the, I think it's a must see for everybody. It is. There was a lot of things in it that you will find that if you didn't know, you will know. I think that I am a very well-read person, and so when I saw it, I wasn't surprised at what I saw. I was shocked at how much more of it there was to see. So that's how that went. Anyway, I got a few more minutes left, and I want to give you just a couple more things I did. How about this? Why don't we all listen to where I think poetry comes from? Where does poetry come from? It comes from my head, my heart, and my soul. It comes from my eyes and the people I see, hear. Yes, I'm a snoop. Bump into, come in contact with, argue, hug, kiss, smirk at, roll my eyes at, flip off. It comes from nature, cutting grass, weeds, flowers, rainstorms, downpours, tornadoes, tsunamis, earthquakes, bombings, mudslides, overgrown rivers. It comes from the water, the fish in it, the boats, the ships, the sharks, the dolphins, the whales, penguins, alligators, crocodiles, the man-eaters, goldfish, angelfish, clownfish, man-pleasers. My poetry comes from architecture, buildings, parks, bridges, highways, expressways, lowways, habit, traffic jams, car accidents, red lights, stop signs, yield, railroad crossings, windows of all shapes, colors, and sizes, doorknobs and archways, stately homes, homes made of wood, brick, and stone, leaves, tents, shanties. It comes from conversations about politics, relationships, parenting, skiing, horseback riding, swimming, dancing, jumping, hopping, slapping someone, putting someone down, putting them in their place, bullying. It comes from celebrating good times, bad times, graduations, weddings, having babies, buying your first car, home, getting your associate's, bachelor, or master degrees. My poetry comes from all the things we do, say, think, dream, build, destroy, wish for, get, lose, and get again. It comes from being greedy, selfish, giving, kind, considerate, loving, generous, cantankerous, ill-witted, dim-witted, being egotistical, from 15 Shades of Grey and all the sex in between all the colors of yellow and blue and green and red and black and white. It comes from the moment of conception to death and resurrection. It comes from within your mind, what thoughts you have, opinions you hold or express. Poetry drives you through your day, soundless and compelling, wonderful and full of awe. It comes from you. Hey people, this is Joe Bright, your host of Poetry Song. Poetry is something that drives us through every day. Well, mine anyway. And I constantly battle with the words in my mind and in my soul. Poetry Song takes everyday topics and put them in verse just for you. The battle for dominance is on. Join me every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. until 8:15 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'll be changing the world with poetry, one line at a time, right here on Poetry Song. Well, okay, so I'm back and I'm talking about privatizations of the prisons and the blacks in the penal system and Hispanics. Um, in the entire world, did you know that 25% of the world's population of prison is right here in this country? There are more people in prison in this country than anywhere in the world. Yeah. Those are one of the facts that I gathered from watching 13th by Ava DuVernay. You can see that on Netflix anytime you want to. It is hopefully will be up for an Oscar. I'm rooting for it. She has shed some extremely harsh lights on our prison system today and how it came about. And she goes all the way back to the time, and she touches on from the time we became free back in December, or in some people say January of 1865 to today. The criminalization of the African American in this country happened right after we were freed from, supposedly freed from slavery, because the 13th Amendment actually has a loophole in it that says if you become a prisoner, you are no longer a free person, and while you're in prison, you can be made to do whatever they want you to do. And the majority of the people in prison who do work get paid something like 12 cents on the dollar. Yeah. So that's why they always need something, because they're only given enough food to eat, a place to sleep, soap to wash up with, and that's it. You know, the necessities of life are all that they get, and not much of that. They also make more money making phone calls. Did you know that? That's a curious line that's used for whenever somebody calls you from prison. Yep, secures. They make a whole lot of money. I'm gonna grab off some statistics for you real quick, and then we're gonna sign off. All right. For 5% of the world population, that's us in the United States. 25% of the world prisons. 2.3 million people are in prison. Yeah, and they're saying now it's too expensive to hold all those people in it. So, how about that? Anyway, mass incarceration of ex-slaves happened after the Civil War. You ought to see this movie called Birth of a Nation. Not the one by Nate Parker, but the one by D.W. Griffith, Griffith. Okay, Birth of a Nation. It was made in 1915. That movie gave people who hate us permission to kill us whenever they felt like it. But back to that. Anyway, today's population is overflowing in China, but is ridiculous. 2.3 million people in prison today. Prisons profits today are upwards of $7 billion. That's right, profits to the shareholders, because we are not the shareholders. Somebody else is. And their shareholders are from the www.cca.com. Look those people up. CCA is the correctional institution that makes all of that wonderful things happening. I got so much information I want to share with you. It's absolutely ridiculous. I'm going to come back next week and I'm going to talk about something else. This is a lengthy subject. I'm Joe Bright. This is Poetry Song. Thank you for listening to me. All right? And I'm going to take y'all out with have a great and blessed weekend. And I'll talk to you soon. Right here, Joe's Poetry and Poetry Song.